Dillian Whyte is once again going off on sanctioning bodies for their ranking system. I'm going to quote Dillian Whyte directly here. He says, "I can't get over the fact that WBO have made Alexander Usyk mandatory challenger for their heavyweight title. It's a joke, pure and simple. I get it that he was the undisputed cruiserweight champion, but at least let the man have a fight at heavyweight first. You can't just hand it to him. But this is boxing. It's full of nonsense. If you let yourself get bogged down in the politics and the hype, then this sport will make you lose your mind." Usyk is supposedly injured now, and he didn't even apply for the mandatory position until after Anthony Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz Jr. These guys want to pick and choose. He's looking at Ruiz Jr. and thinking, I can beat him. But he wasn't saying that when Joshua was champion, was he? He then goes on to talk about Tom Schwartz and Tyson Fury. He says, they have just parachuted a novice heavyweight into the number one spot before he's even had a fight, and added further insult to injury by slotting Fury in above me for beating Tom Schwartz. It's beyond an effing joke. Fury hasn't beaten anyone of note since returning from his steroid ban. Cephas Fury, Francesco Pianetta, and Tom Schwartz are all nobodies. Wouldn't it be funny if the WBO title gets vacated and they call Usyk against Fury for the belt? Just watch Fury run like he did from me when the WBC ordered him to fight me for the diamond belt at his request. Gypsy King my ass. Run, Gypsy coward, run. So those are the words of the body snatcher Dillian Whyte. Now, one area where I have to kind of, disagree with him, maybe, is his views on the Usyk situation, because this is not the WBO making the rules up as they go along. The WBO have had this rule in place for some time now, where if you are an undisputed champion at a lower weight or a higher weight, just at a different weight, and you move to another weight class, you get a straight crack at the belt in the other weight class. The WBO have had that rule in place for a long time. They're not, making special concessions for Usyk or anything like that. So you can disagree with the rule, of course. You can say, it's a silly rule, but that rule has existed long before Alexander Usyk has enacted it. Now, as far as the timing of it, Usyk deciding that he wants to be mandatory now rather than prior to the AJ Ruiz fight, maybe he's got a point there. Andy Ruiz is very heavy. He weighs like 260 pounds or whatever, but he's not particularly tall. So in terms of dimensions, Usyk probably looks at Andy Ruiz and thinks, okay, this is, something similar to the guys I've been fighting at cruiserweight in terms of his dimensions. And perhaps he doesn't even think that Andy Ruiz has got punching power, which is any better than Bridis or Gassiev or, many of the guys he fought at cruiserweight. So he might be thinking, I can outmaneuver Andy Ruiz. I could take that fight. Whereas maybe looking at an AJ, especially prior to the vulnerability he showed against Ruiz, maybe he was thinking, let me ease my way into the heavyweight division first before I start taking on the giants. So maybe Dillian Whyte has got a point there. It's all speculation. I don't know what's going on in Alexander Usyk's head. But I think that is reasonable speculation on Dillian Whyte's behalf. And when he talks about Tyson Fury and Tom Schwartz, when it comes to heavyweight rankings, right, a lot of it's kind of a mixture of what the fighters have actually achieved lately, who they've fought, who they've beat, how good the sanctioning body believes the fighter is. So basically their potential, not necessarily who they've beat or, whatever. It's a combination of those two factors, plus the politics of the game. Who your promoter is, did he turn up to the latest convention? How much can he pay us in sanctioning fees? How close are we with your promoter? How long do we go back, etc. It's a combination of those three things. Yeah. It's who you've actually beaten lately, how good they think your ability is, and the political situation that you have with a sanctioning body. Combination. All right. And that's how sanctioning bodies make their rankings. Most of them. Because you see certain people in the top 10 and you're thinking, How on earth did he get there? But a sanctioning body will probably justify it by saying, well, we think he's better than so and so and so and so. Has he proved it with his resume? No, but we think he could beat those guys if he fought him. There must be an element of that in a lot of these top 10 ranking systems. And of course, there's the political element. Frank Warren has had a very long-standing, close relationship with the WBO that goes back many decades. In fact, Frank Warren was instrumental in helping the WBO become a legitimate sanctioning body, truth be told. So for Frank Warren's fighter, Tyson Fury, to be getting a high ranking in the WBO, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. And as far as Tyson Fury's ranking, even in the WBC when he was going to fight Deontay Wilder, well, I would suggest that that's got a lot to do with Al Heyman's close relationship with the WBC. You see, so that's the political element of it, you know. And Dillian Whyte, I'm not sure if he's fought WBO sanctioned bouts in recent times. Was the Joseph Parker WBO sanctioned, that fight? I can't remember now. I know they were talking about trying to get it as a WBO sanctioned bout. And Dillian Whyte certainly makes a good point in a recent interview when he said, look, I fought Joseph Parker one fight after he lost his WBO title against AJ. And that was a distance fight. The first guy to ever take AJ the distance. He had the WBO belt. He defended it several times. I was just the second guy to beat him. Like, how on earth could somebody like Tyson Fury, who hasn't beaten anybody of note in the WBO rankings, get put above me? That's ridiculous, you know? But the political side of things, you know, the Frank Warren dealing with the WBO, and also another element that I forgot is money, right? Not even just what promoter you're with or whatever, but how much money you bring to the table as a fighter, how much commercial value you have. Because these sanctioning bodies have got a funny way of getting these fighters who have the highest commercial value way up there in the rankings, when in some instances they can't really justify it by who that fighter has beaten lately, you know? So that's another element we have to take into account. Now, Dillian Whyte is a pay-per-view fighter in the UK. He's been doing very well, but Tyson Fury, even though he may not have done the pay-per-view numbers Dillian Whyte has done yet, I suspect he's a bigger name in the UK than Dillian Whyte. I suspect he is. I don't have the stats and all this kind of stuff, but, you know, given the fact that he fought on terrestrial TV for a long time in the UK, given the fact he's had this rivalry with not only Anthony Joshua, but Deontay Wilder, given the fact he's still unbeaten, given the fact he's so loud and brash, I mean, even going back to his rivalry with David Price back in the days, I suspect, and of course, lately he's been doing all this work with mental health advocacy. So I suspect the Gypsy King is a bigger name in the UK by a fairly decent way than Dillian Whyte, and therefore that could be another reason why the WBO have bumped Fury up and put him up above Dillian Whyte in their rankings. So combination of different factors, but it is what it is. Dillian Whyte is building up quite a resume. If he gets past Oscar Rivas, I mean, he's really... if he gets past Oscar Rivas, there is a strong argument could be made that Dillian Whyte has a stronger resume than Deontay Wilder. Some people say he's got a stronger resume than Wilder now. So for a leading contender to have a stronger resume than one of the the longest reigning champion, that's pretty crazy. You know, that really does put pressure in the eyes of anybody who's objective. That really does put pressure on Deontay Wilder to fight Dillian Whyte. Like, you have to fight him, you know? Will Dillian Whyte get that mandatory spot? Hopefully he does, if he can get past Oscar Rivas, and that's not a foregone conclusion. That's a dangerous fight. But if he gets past Rivas, you know, maybe we'll see Dillian Whyte finally get that mandatory position. How long he'll have to wait for it, I don't know. Will there be shenanigans? Will Deontay Wilder get elevated to a franchise champion and then avoid having to fight Dillian Whyte? Who knows? It could get sticky. It could turn into a legal battle then. Because Eddie Hearn has even been threatening this legal action. He's even been insinuating that they'll go down the road of legal action against the WBC if they don't get their mandatory shot. So we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening. I'm out.
Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.